Alright, be watching some vids. First one we're going to be watching is from The Actman. Is there any hope for Halo? Halo's had a rough fucking ride past, I don't know, 5 bajillion years it feels like. 2020 has, like, got my sense of time all over the fucking place. Need 3 screens, one for what you're doing, one for chat, one for stream. Yeah, you need like a whole fucking spaceship setup where you have screens all over the place and you can like move them at will. Yeah, let's watch this. This is the Actman, so can never tell how serious the videos are gonna be, but they're usually always good. So let's see. Let's see what he's gonna say about the Halo. Because he is a Halo fan for a while.
What's up, everybody? This is the Actman here, and today it's been a while since my last Halo video. Let's check in on how things are going.
12 seconds later.
Joe Staten is leaving the studio to rejoin Xbox Publishing.
No, God!
It's done, Rob. It's done.
No, God, please, no!
Joe's gone.
No!
Joe is gone.
No!
Joe Staten has left 343.
This
It's
is a
not
studio
fair.
that was hit especially hard by the layoffs, and it's
Aw,
raising
damn.
some concerns about the future.
Everyone's
of the
making
Halo
videos of
franchise.
it.
Can Halo just catch a break, man?
No.
Like, the bad luck should
A
have
Gundam
run
cockpit
out by
set up
now.
for a PC.
Unless 343 was built on an Indian
Make sure it had
burial
like a
ground.
better server connection than the game.
Given the events between the release of Halo Infinite and now, I think we're all a little bit worried about the future of the Halo franchise.
Just a
This
little
is a
worried.
topic that we've
Just a little.
rarely discussed on the channel. As I'm sure you've heard, bad news.
Actman is a
Microsoft
bit
and
of a
many other
fan of
tech
the Halo
companies have
series.
announced loads of layoffs in preparation for a recession that, once again, I'm sure Obama is responsible for. Damn you, Obama! But there's quite a
That
few
man
angles
has
to
been
this
out of
story, and I
office
hope
for
to cover them
years.
all. More
Jesus.
importantly,
He
I
still
hope
gets
to answer
blamed.
the question. There's no doubt burning in so many people's heads. How could this happen to Halo? And of course, we've got other fun questions like, should 343 continue developing the Halo games? Or is it time another studio had a crack at it? Definitely a hot topic of discussion. And what do these job cuts mean for the future of Halo and 343? What is the state of Infinite right now? Are they gonna unfuck the TV show in season 2?
What are you doing?
So many questions, so much
The fucking
uncertainty.
I'm not
Now,
watching
before
the
we jump
TV
any further
series.
into it, this video
They-
is sponsored
No.
by Bespoke.
I'm just
Bespoke
not
is a
watching it.
website that offers all sorts of
Bespoke.
themed boxes of goodies. Every month they introduce new boxes and all
Haven't
sorts
seen
of
this,
awesome stuff inside
sponsorship
them.
before.
There's a huge variety. You could get a knife set, some new boxers, cigars, fine whiskey straight from the saloon, and my personal favorite, the Scorch Box, filled with all sorts of amazing hot sauces. Each box contains items worth $70, but only cost $49. And if there's one thing you gotta get, it's the Weekender bag. The perfect carry-on for any situation. You get to preview the contents of the box, and if you don't care for it, you can switch it out or skip the month entirely at
That's
no
so
extra
random.
cost. When signing up, you'll take a short survey to gauge your interests, and then boom, solid recommendations right there. And use my special link, bespokepost.com/act20, and enter the code ACT20 to get 20% off your
if
first
you're willing to
box.
sponsor me,
And
I'd
use
be
my
willing to try it
special
out,
link
but
in the
that
description
looks
and
so
pinned comment
random,
to
like
do
what they're
so. Treat yourself
selling.
right. And thank you to Bespoke
It
for
looks good,
sponsoring this
but-
video.
And now for
Not really
something
my thing.
completely different.
The recent layoffs and important staff leaving 343 has left loads of room for speculation and rumor. As some said, 343 was retiring as a Halo developer entirely. Former employees have come out to speak about piss-poor management at Microsoft. It just seems like this is kind of a fucking
Yeah, it
disaster,
starts
you know
at
what I
the
mean?
top.
Now, where to begin
starts and
untangling
ends
this?
at the top.
Well, Microsoft will be laying off
The people in
10,000
charge
employees
aren't doing their
between
jobs
January
right.
8th and June 30th. And this wasn't a
the
targeted
rest
drone
can't do
strike.
theirs.
Okay, this was blind fire into the crowd. Pretty much all aspects of Microsoft's business will be or probably have been.
Of course,
hit
there
by
are
these
some, like,
layoffs,
devs and stuff,
including their
like, in deep
subsidiaries
denial.
Like the Coalition, Bethesda, and of course 343. You might have noticed something odd about this, namely the timing, because coincidentally the announcement that they will be laying off 10,000 employees comes a year to the
Solve
day.
any problem, you always go top
exactly
down and
1
not
year
down
to the
top.
day
Yeah.
that Microsoft
Very
announced
true,
they were
Yumi.
buying Activision Blizzard. Now, I'm no gambler, but that seems like a 1 in 365 chance of that happening. And to go with an age-old quote,
But as one trained in the Force, You know that true coincidences are rare.
So they're likely making room for this colossal takeover, which got me thinking, how many people work at Activision Blizzard? 9,800. Awfully close to 10K.
But as one trained in the Force, you know that true coincidences are rare.
Now I want to say that
Oh my
layoffs
God.
like these are always really tough on a lot of hardworking
Coinky-dink.
people that don't necessarily deserve to lose their jobs. I hope all the people who lost their jobs can land on their feet and get a new one. And please don't attack or be an asshole to anyone at 343. You know, now's not a good time to ask, hey, when are Playable Elites coming back? You already know the answer. It's never. So this begs the question, with all these studios and IPs Microsoft has or is acquiring, do they need as many people to work on Halo? Maybe the Halo franchise is determined to just not be as profitable, so they're pulling resources from it. You know, why invest trying to revitalize this thing that hasn't worked for the better part of a decade when you got Call of Duty coming in, and Call of Duty always sells, even when everyone agrees the games are shit. It still tops the charts every year. Now, I could be talking out my ass when I give this take, but
Shitty people
it
still
seems
buy
kind of
pieces of
odd
shit.
for a company to cut
And they did it all
jobs
because they made
in a
like profits
business
again,
that's
so if I
doing
pay
really
for make
well.
money
Now,
instead of
I
losing
did
it.
hear from an inside source at Bungie.
People that run our businesses are
Something
fucking
interesting. They said in 2008, a year after Halo 3 released, an unprecedented economic crisis hit the US and the world. Bungie ended up hiring more people and made ODST and Reach. It's not always the economy. From what we've heard, 343 has lost
Damn.
about 60 employees, with 30 of those coming from the art team alone. Certainly doesn't bode well for Infinite given the already sluggish pace of updates, their eternal struggle to deliver promises and meet deadlines, and provide any semblance of a live service. Most of the cuts were geared towards the campaign art and animation teams, which has pretty much destroyed any idea of Infinite Campaign DLC. I thought that was going to be a given when the game first came out, and then they just had those lame-ass story events that I think they've abandoned now.
My gear. It's not standard issue. It's necessity. History.
Neil Harrison, the former director of art management, was among one of the layoffs. So basically, the art team that gave us this. The team that finally gifted us the Halo art style we have been waiting for. Are they just all gone now? It's also important to note that Microsoft is cutting 10K jobs over a period of time. This didn't just happen at once, which makes it all the more interesting to me.
I'm just
why
imagining like
343
10,000
was
people
hit
walking out with all their
immediately,
boxes
you know?
of shit.
Like, I'm just trying to put all the pieces together to get an accurate
Yeah, that'd be
reading
kind of hard
on
to
the
sell.
state of 343 and, by extension, the state of the Halo franchise. I don't think it's looking good. Now, a former 343 employee came out, Patrick Wren, and said, the layoffs at 343 shouldn't have happened, and Halo Infinite should be in a better state. The reason for both of those things is incompetent leadership up top during Halo Infinite development, causing massive stress
It's
on
always
those
up
working
top.
hard to make Halo the best it can be. And
always up
Jason
top.
Schreier from Bloomberg seems to agree with this statement, and it pretty much confirms what I've heard about behind-the-scenes development, which brings us to Joe Staten. Our boy. While he has not
The rain.
technically
Oh
been
my God.
laid off from 343, he is leaving to resume his position at Xbox Publishing. It is a sad day. Now, technically we should have expected this since this was kind of the plan the whole time, but the timing is like right alongside all of these layoffs. The timing is just really bad. One might say sus. And to see someone like so revered by the Halo community leave at a time like this, you know, it sucks, man. Wouldn't it have been great if Joe was working on more story elements? It seemed like every time he appeared in a video is just to deliver bad news, you know? It's like, oh, what could have been? So amidst all this controversy, people started to speculate that 343 would be given the boot from Halo entirely. Let's give it to id Software. Let's give it to Infinity Ward or Treyarch or no, fucking keep it away from Sledgehammer, actually. Let's reel that idea back. But some of these rumors garnered so much attention that it warranted an official response from Pierre Heinz, who's now the head of 343. He made a short statement on Twitter that reads, Halo and Master Chief are here to stay. 343 Industries will continue to develop Halo now and in the future, including epic stories, multiplayer, and more of what makes Halo great. The word vague comes to mind, right? You can't say the franchise is in a good state when it is necessary for leadership to come out and say, don't worry, guys, we all still have a job. Like, we're still going to be making Halo. Could you imagine if Nintendo was like, don't worry, fellas, we're still going to be making Mario games? Like, at what point does that happen? What does it say about the state of things? Like what? Imagine what could have possibly prompted such a response to be
I'd
necessary?
be so depressed as fuck if I worked at 343 right now.
Interesting. You've got some people relieved that things aren't going to change and that 343 is still going to be in the
Times
loop
the
on
charm.
things, and you've got others who are disappointed, not reassured. But I also think it's funny when he says epic stories, right as the time that they're laying off a whole bunch of the campaign team.
The endless will return.
So like the main
So
people
we're
they let
probably
go
not
is
gonna
like
ever learn what
artists
the endless
and
are.
campaign
I'm
people.
telling you.
Is what I keep hearing.
343's track record, this will probably be a plot point that they just kind of like solve off screen, and the next Halo game is gonna once again reboot the story. You know, I still to this day don't fully understand what has been happening at the studio that has caused it to be so dysfunctional, to have not a very productive or conducive workflow. I don't.
Yeah,
work
I
there,
have to
so,
say,
you know,
like,
take
just
everything
as a aside, the latest Halo games I played were 4 and 5. Like, I waited years before I played them. Like, the latest ones I played in 4 or 5, I can't remember the fucking story of either one. I can't. But I can still remember Halo 1 to Reach. That just says something. Because, again, 4 and 5, I played them last year.
I say with a grain of salt, but you know, there's been barely any updates for Halo Infinite despite the large workforce on paper. Player numbers are, well, let me just put this on screen for you. That about sums it up. Even if this was in
Wow.
July, Infinite should not be
3
underperforming
times.
what is
Fuck.
objectively the worst
Oh, my
Battlefield
God.
game ever. Then you got Microsoft's company-wide hiring freeze, which has been going on for God knows how long, which meant even if 343 needed more hands on deck, they just couldn't get them. Not to mention Microsoft being stingy and weird as hell with its practices on contracted work, which, as Patrick Wren says, is a whole other can of worms. Can I just say, Microsoft, your strategy with contract work is clearly not working out. I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed. Fable trailer came out 2.5 years ago. Not a peep since Elder Scrolls 6, ladies and gentlemen. It has been 4.5 years since
Holy
the trailer.
shit.
And I get that Bethesda's
Holy
working on
shit, it has been
Starfield,
that
but
long.
This is a pattern I'm noticing with
2020 be fucking with my time. I feel like I'm still in 2020 sometimes. It's a mind fuck. Like, I can't help but it's just warped my sense of time. And I don't know if it'll ever be fixed.
a lot of Xbox exclusives. We get a trailer, and then it's years of nothing. Like huge chunks of time, years before we get any kind of update. Like, think about this. We didn't see multiplayer gameplay for Infinite until 5.5 years after Guardians released. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's not just one thing that's been holding Halo back from the glory of success. Now, I want to take this section of the video to look at some of the notable people that have left 343 in recent years. And my goal in doing this is not to point the finger and say, haha, number company bad, but rather to illustrate how much talent and
Number
experience
company.
had been at the studio and is no longer there, to offer some kind of explanation for the studio's current woes. Chris Lee was head of production for Infinite for 2 years and has gone off the grid after leaving Halo, which I find very strange because normally a lot of developers, they don't like leave social media entirely after they leave a video game project. I don't know. But he left at the end of October 28th, 2020. He had been working at Microsoft since 2003.
There it is, 2020.
Was involved in the production of Reach, ODST 4 and
Suspicious
5.
year.
Tom French, multiplayer creative director, and the head of development on
That
Forge
hair,
for
dude.
Halo 5. He left December 2022. Our boy Tom was at 343 for 11 years. Quindell Hoyle, Halo Infinite lead sandbox designer, left shortly after Infinite's release. He spent 9 years with the company. Mary Olson, Halo Infinite lead producer, was with 343 for 7 years and stepped down less than 2 months after taking that position from Tim Longo, who was the Halo 5 and Halo Infinite creative director but left in 2019. He was there for 6 years. Sparth, Infinite art director, left 343 after 14 years. Andrew Witz,
It's like a
Infinite
fucking weird
multiplayer
game of
lead,
dominoes
left the company
over
on
here.
March 4th, 2022. He had worked on Infinite since 2019. David Berger,
They
technical
just keep
director,
falling
been with
over.
343 since 2008. One of the lead creators of the Slipspace engine. He left just days after Bonnie Ross. Aaron Lind, lead writer, left 343. Jerry Hook, online design director, then later head of design for Infinite, left 343 on May 25th, 2022, after working with Microsoft for over 20 years. And finally, Bonnie Ross, the matriarch of Halo, who was there at 343 from its inception and who recently stepped down after 15 years leading the Halo franchise. Not every one of these people left 343 because of some, mad Kim Kardashian type drama, but it's
Yeah, I'm
like
sure
the
some of them actually
turnover
left
rate
because they wanted to
senior
work on something
executive
else.
staff, it's a lot, man.
You can't
it's
get
weird
tired of
looking
working
back
on the same
some
thing
of
over and
the
over again.
trailers and Vidocs and seeing like all the
Especially
people
if you're not
are
getting
no longer
exactly
with
the best
company.
reception.
It seems to me when this many people with that much experience leave a company, there's just this massive vacuum of knowledge left in its wake. The
Yeah.
thing is, I'm not sure how many people currently at 343 have been working on Infinite since the beginning and are now working on the live service. You get what I mean? So
Yeah,
to me,
see,
it makes sense
that's
why
what I'm worried
updates and
about, like,
fixes are taking so long for this
I've been
game.
hearing people talk about and mentioning the fact that, like, the higher ups, like the veteran devs and stuff, people that have been there either from the beginning or almost the beginning or have a lot of fucking knowledge, they end up leaving without passing on that knowledge. And it's like it affects the people that are coming in or have been there for only like a little while and still have like so much to learn and need leadership and like that veteran knowledge, but they're not getting it. Because everybody's like fucking dominoes. They're knocking each other over and getting the fuck out of there.
Because most of the people working on the game didn't write the code they're trying to fix. At least that's what I gather. I could be wrong. Whatever the issues seem to be behind the scenes, like why, it's not quite coming together all the way, whatever the reasons are, Microsoft has remained the one common factor in all of this. It seems swapping people out of important roles at 343 has not produced the results they want. Infinite was delayed a year. It's been 7 years since the release of Guardians. And like, where is Infection? Like, why is something like Infection so hard? Maybe Microsoft was always intent on killing the goose that laid the golden egg, and when they got a new goose that laid bronze eggs, well, they had to kill that one too. Just my theory. And to go back to the topic of contractors, you ever take a few minutes to skim the endgame credits? Well, if you do, you might notice that some names, actually quite a few names, have parentheses indicating what company they were contracted from. There's a lot of parentheses. Look at how many different
Jesus.
collaborating studios they worked with and contracting companies. Airship Images, Atom Hawk, Axis Studios, Certain Affinity, Counterpunch, A Virtuous Studio, Experis, Insight Global, Lakeisha Digital, Liquid Development, Mandali Games, Mindwalk, Noir Studios, OF3D,
Okay,
Pixel Mafia,
oh my
Red
god,
Hot
I
CG,
understand getting like
Roommate
outside
Studios,
help
Skybox Labs,
if you need it.
Sparasoft, The Coalition, and Undead Labs. I can't even
But
imagine the logistics
there's a line
behind
to be
working
crossed,
with
and you
that
crossed
many
it
different
way back.
companies, let alone trying to get your own studio on the same page and like trying to get everybody in a rhythm with a singular goal and a single vision of what the game should be. And if you look very closely at the credits, you might notice something very interesting. That being the section on testing. It appears that most or all of Halo Infinite's testing was done by contractors. If I'm not mistaken, a similar thing happened with Cyberpunk, and well, we all remember what that
my
was
god.
like at release.
Yeah, like didn't they find out the didn't they find out the company that like they sent the game to be tested on? Like it was basically one giant scam. Like majority of the people that worked there had no idea what the fuck they were doing, weren't getting paid. The bosses were just taking the money and running. So there's that too. There's God.
So if you want to find a reason, the reason I'm talking about like the workforce and the contracting employees is that the biggest issue with development of Halo post Bungie has been the lack of a consistent vision for what Halo should be. Like I said, Halo 4 feels like the start of a new trilogy, and then we get 5, which feels like the start of a new trilogy. Same thing with Infinite. I think what 343 does a lot of is they incorrectly identify what the problem is and then overcorrect it. For example, think about the co-op mechanics in Halo 5 and being able to, you know, command Spartans around. Something could have been done with that in Infinite. The problem wasn't the co-op mechanics themselves in the campaign. The problem was you had 3 AI companions from start to finish, and the entire game was balanced around it. But imagine if some of that work was salvaged and put into Infinite. Let's say now you can command Marines. Hey, go get in that Warthog, drive it over here. Simple shit like that. It adds a new layer to the game. You've already done some work on it. That's just how my brain thinks. Here's a more tangible example. How about all the unused assets and hundreds of weapons they made in Halo 5? Like, where is the Mantis? I feel like the Mantis should be in Infinite. So many sandbox tools were, you know, they weren't perfect in 5, but they were good. Like the CE Magnum, the Halo 2 battle rifle. Again, things that you just think should be in the game. It just seems like 343 has a let's cut our losses and start over philosophy.
Yeah, that seems to be their problem.
Dude. Again, look at Elden Ring and
It
look
kind
at
of like
Mario
feels
Odyssey
like they
and
just
Smash Bros. Ultimate. Those
roll the
games
dice on like a
all
brand new
build up
idea,
to that
but end up doing the same
ultimate
bullshit.
title that is just, that's what Halo Infinite should have been. The Smash Bros. Ultimate.
It just looks
of
a little
Halo.
different.
343 has had a lot of amazing ideas that they've left half-baked. And I'd rather eat a half-baked potato than a frozen one. Halo is a series that needs a consistent
Put
vision
that on a
and a
t-shirt.
consistent team to pursue that vision.
We always had this vision right from the get-go, which is anyone can build anything.
Giving the fans the tools, they can take it and run with it and make it their own.
And when you've got a fucking carousel of leaders, executives, and contractors going in and out, it's hard to maintain that consistent vision. Halo should have assassinations. The game would only be better with assassinations or playable elites. Forge should have been there at launch. Griffball. These are just staples that should be there. We all agree. We all understand it. Campaign co-op. It should just be there. Think about split screen co-op. That was the first thing they ever announced for the game that would become Infinite.
Can we reveal anything about the next Halo FPS title today?
I think the only thing that will confirm, as we do listen to fans, there will be split screen.
Liar! The first thing we learned about the game
that was
coming
fucking
after
disappointing.
Halo 5, it was gonna have split screen co-op. They didn't even know what the fuck the title was, but
fucking
they knew
disappointing.
that. It just seems like 343 wasted a lot of time in pre-production being unable to figure out what direction to take the game in. You know, there's so much unfinished work in the files for Infinite that we've seen. Like, people have known about Infection since before the game came out, I think. And it just feels like so much work from people has been rendered superfluous or was like a waste of time, or nobody has bothered to finish work on certain things. Like the smoke screen and the bandit rifle. It's just, making a great Halo game is real fucking hard, but that's what makes it special, you know? They set Halo up for failure.
Attitude reflect leadership, Captain.
And to see former 343 staff say that and blast the leadership, well, it indicates to me that the lack of vision started from the top and it trickled down. That's why Halo is in the state that it's in.
It always
But to come
starts
back
from
to
the
main
top.
Question, is there any hope for Halo? Well, there's always
It
hope.
starts
but
and stops
I think if you're
at the
happy with the
leadership.
state of things, then you were naive and wildly unrealistic. Realistically, I think at this point the 343 brand is associated with a lot of negativity in parts of the community. I think it all comes back to Microsoft, in my opinion. All of this falls squarely on Microsoft's shoulders, I think. Because at the end of the day, they own the franchise, and they've owned it for a long time. They are in charge of who is in charge. Simple as that. You know, to whoever is going to continue developing the Halo games, I just hope you have a consistent vision for what you want to do. A consistent vision of what makes Halo great. Build on the success of the franchise instead of tearing it down to start anew every few years. See if you can salvage some of the work and reuse certain assets from previous titles to make new ones feel more complete. So in conclusion, it is another sad day for Halo. 343 and Halo fans. But we will persevere.
It's just been disappointment after disappointment for Halo. Not just the games, but also the TV show.
But thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, and subscribe to the Act Man for more awesome content. Don't forget to check out Bespoke and get yourself a themed box of goodies. Alright everyone, that's all I got for today. This is the Act Man signing out. Peace.
Oh, there's another good video from Ackman. Check him out. But yeah, it's just Halo has just been disappointment after disappointment these years, and it's just, you want to hope that they'll get better, but by this point it's like that old saying, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. This just feels like that. Like we're just rinse and repeat and hoping it somehow ends up different. But yeah, check out the Act Man. Makes some awesome videos. They're usually simultaneously educational and hilarious. Yeah, Far Cry 3, have I ever told you the definition of insanity? Yeah, exactly.